Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Exploring Marketing Research, Chapter number 15, Part 2, Questionnaire Design. After studying this part, you should be able to describe how the proper sequence of question may improve a questionnaire. Discuss how to design a questionnaire layout. Describe criteria for pre-testing and revising a questionnaire and for adapting it to global markets. The art of asking question. The art of asking question depends upon several factors such as avoid complexity, use simple conversational language, avoid leading and loaded questions, avoid ambiguity, be as specific as possible, avoid double barrel items, avoid making assumptions, avoid burdensome questions. I will explain one by one all these factors. Avoid complexity. Use simple conversational language. Words used in questionnaire should be readily understandable to all respondents. The researcher usually has the difficult task of adopting the conversational language of people at the lower educational levels without talking down to better educated respondents. Remember, not all people have the vocabulary of a college graduate. Many consumers, for instance, have never gone beyond a high school education. Avoid leading and loaded questions. Leading and loaded questions are a major source of bias in question wording. A leading question suggests or implies certain answers. A study of the dry cleaning industry asked this question. Many people are using dry cleaning less because of improved wash and wear clothes. Avoid leading a loaded question. How do you feel? Wash and wear clothes have affected your use of dry cleaning facilities in the past 4 years. Use less, no use, use more. The potential bandwagon effect implied in this question threatens the study's validity. Partial. Partial mention of alternatives is a variation of this phenomenon. Do small imported cars such as Volkswagen get better gas mileage than small US car? How do you generally spend your free time watching television or what? A loaded question suggests a socially considerable answer or is emotionally charged. Consider the following question from a survey about media influence on cooking and home decorating behavior. What most influences you to buy food equipment? My own need for equipment at the time, salesperson at store, food magazines, food shows on TV, internet food sites, family or friends, food dining section of newspaper, other. I really never buy food preparation equipment. Avoid leading and loaded questions. Asking respondents how often they use a product or visit a store leads them to generalize about their habits because there usually is some variance in their behavior. In generalizing, a person is likely to portray an ideal behavior rather than an average behavior. Avoid leading and loaded questions. For instance, brushing your teeth after each meal may be ideal, but busy people may skip a brushing or two. An introductory counter-biasing statement or preamble to a question that reassures respondent that their embarrassing behavior is not abnormal may yield truthful responses. Some people have the time to brush 3 times daily, but others do not. How often did you brush your teeth yesterday? Avoid leading and loaded questions. If a question embraces the respondent, it may elicit no answer or a biased response. This is particularly true with respect to personal or classification data such as income or education. The problem may be mitigated by introducing the section of the questionnaire with a statement such as this. To help classify your answer, we would like to ask you a few questions. Again, your answer will be kept in strict confidence. A question statement may be leading because it is phrased to reflect either the negative or the positive aspect of an issue. To control for this bias, the wording of attitudinal questions may be reversed for 50% of the sample. This split ballot technique is used with the expectation that two alternative phrasings of the same question will yield a more accurate total response than will a single phrasing. For example, in a study on small car buying behavior, one half of a sample of imported car purchasers received a questionnaire in which they were asked to agree or disagree with the statement. Small US cars are cheaper to maintain than small imported cars. The other half of the imported car owners received the questionnaire in which the statement read, small imported cars are cheaper to maintain than small US cars. Avoid ambiguity. Be as specific as possible. Items on questionnaires often are ambiguous because they are too general. Consider such as indefinite words such as often, occasionally, regularly, frequently, may, good, and poor. Each of these words has many different meanings. For one consumer, frequent reading of Fortune magazine may be reading 6 or 7 issues a year. Another consumer may think reading 2 issues a year is frequent. Avoid ambiguity. Be as specific as possible. Questions such as the following one, used in a study measuring the reactions of consumers to a television boycott, should be interpreted with care. Please indicate the statement that best describes your family's television during the boycott of Channel 7. We did not watch any television programs on Channel 7. We watch hardly any television programs on Channel 7. We occasionally watch television programs on Channel 7. We frequently watch television programs on Channel 7. Avoid double barrel items. A question covering several issues at once is referred to as a double-barreled question and should always be avoided. Making the mistake of asking two questions rather than one is easy. For example, please indicate your degree of agreement with the following statement. Wholesalers and retailers are responsible for the high price of meat. Which intermediaries are responsible, the wholesaler or the retailers? Why double barrel items? When multiple questions are asked in one question, the results may be exceedingly difficult to interpret. Consider the following question from a magazine survey entitled, how do you feel about being a woman? Between you and your husband, who does the housework, cleaning, cooking, dishwashing, laundry over and above that done by any hired help? I do all of it. I do almost all of it. I do over half of it. We split the work 50-50. My husband does over half of it. The answer to this question do not tell us if the wife cooks and the husband washes the dishes. Avoid making assumptions. Consider the following question. Should Macy's continue its excellence gift wrapping program? Yes, no. This question has a built-in assumption that people believe the gift wrapping program is excellent. Avoid making assumptions. By answering yes, the respondent implies that the program is in fact excellent and that things are fine just as they are. When a respondent answers no, he or she implies that the store should discontinue the gift wrapping. The researcher should not place the respondent in that sort of bind by including an implicit assumption in the question. Avoid burdensome questions that may tax the respondent's memory. A simple fact of human life is that people forget. Researchers writing questions about past behavior and events should recognize that certain questions may make serious demands on the respondent's memory. Writing questions about prior events requires a conscious attempt to minimize the problems associated with forgetting. In many situations, respondents cannot recall the answer to a question. For example, a telephone survey conducted during the 24-hour period following the airing of the Super Bowl might establish whether the respondent watched the Super Bowl and then asked, "Do you recall any commercials on that program?" If the answer is positive, the interviewer might ask, "What brands were advertised?" These two questions measure unaided recall because they give respondent no clue as to the brand of interest. What is the best question sequence? The order of questions or the question sequence may serve several functions for the researcher. If the opening questions are interesting, simple to comprehend, and easy to answer, respondents' cooperation and involvement can be maintained throughout the questionnaire. Asking easy to answer questions teaches respondents their role and builds their confidence. What is the best question sequence? Order bias can result from a particular answer question in a set of answers or from the sequence of questions. In political elections in which candidates lack high visibility, such as elections for country commissioners and judges, the first name listed on the ballot often receives the highest percentage of votes. For this reason, many election boards print several ballots so that each candidate's name appears in every possible position on the ballot. What is the best question sequence? Funnel technique allows the researcher to understand the respondent's frame of reference before asking more specific questions about the level of the respondent's information and the intensity of his or her opinions. What is the best layout? Good layout and physical attractiveness are crucial in mail, internet, and other self-administered questionnaires. For different reasons, a good layout in questionnaire design for personal and telephone interviews is also important. Classifying surveys by degree of structure and degree of disguise. After looking at this exhibit, you can see that sometimes researcher has to use undisguised structured questionnaires or undisguised unstructured questionnaires. Sometimes they can use disguised structure and sometimes they can use disguised unstructured. Developing a questionnaire has no hard and fast rules, but there are only simple guidelines that one has to consider. Pre-testing is important for the questionnaire. Layout for internet questionnaires. Researcher can use graphical user interface, paging layout going from screen to screen. Scrolling layout gives the respondent ability to scroll down, push buttons, status bar, etc. So all these options can be used for the internet questionnaires. There are four common question displays on a computer screen: radio button, drop down button, checkbox, open-ended boxes. So here are the few examples of online survey demo. Software that makes questioning interactive. Nowadays we can use Google, and Google helps you to develop your own questionnaire, and then you can get a lot of data with the help of Google questionnaire or Google survey. Designing questionnaire for global markets. Now that marketing research is being conducted around the globe, researchers must take cultural factors into account when designing questionnaire. The most common problem involves translating a questionnaire into other languages. A questionnaire developed in one country may be difficult to translate because equivalent language concepts do not exist or because of differences in idioms and vernacular. Although Spanish is spoken in both Mexico and Venezuela, one researcher found out that Spanish translation of the English term retail outlet works in Mexico but not in Venezuela. Venezuelans interpreted the translation to refer to an electrical outlet, an outlet of a river into an ocean, or the passageway onto a courtyard. Designing questionnaire for global markets. International marketing researchers often have questionnaires back translated. Back translation is the process of taking a questionnaire that has previously been translated from one language to another and having it translated back again by a second independent translator. The back translator is often a person whose native tongue is the language that will be used for the questionnaire. This process can reveal inconsistencies between the English version and the translation. For example, when a soft drink company translated its slogan, "Baby, it's cool inside," into Cantonese for research in Hong Kong, the result reads "small mosquito on the inside. It's very cold." In Hong Kong, small mosquito is a colloquial expression for a small child. Obviously, the intended meaning of the advertising message had been lost in the translated questionnaire. Thank you. That's all for part 2.